All right, so first book call in I think 6 months. Let's get right into it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, I want to share all the books that I have accumulated since I think September of last year, which really isn't all that many, to be honest. I think, besides some Christmas presents, I think one birthday present, and let's see, one book, I guess, book haul where I bought a bunch of books from Princeton University Press during their Valentine's Day sale here in February, which they offer like a bunch of their books at 75% off, and a lot of their nature titles that are kind of more field guide or technical or whatever, are usually kind of on the pricier side. So when I see them at 75% off, I have to snag them up. Plus, like, you don't really see those ones like used hardly ever. So, yeah, when I do my book tour here or my library tour of my bookshelves, I do want to kind of go over my used to new ratio because. I will say, like, the majority of the books I do buy is used, but I'll have to see what the actual ratio is. But anyways, let's just get started. I'll start with like some of the gift ones first. So for my birthday here, I got The Lives of Octopuses and Their Relatives: A Natural History of Cephalopods by Dana Staff. This is part of like a series of The Lives of. I've been reading the Beatles one. I'm almost on that one, and these are just fantastic. First, look at that cover, super dope. But you got tons of photographs that are super like illuminating. Lots of like I said, photographs, illustrations, and diagrams, like range charts and things like that. They usually do like species highlights and stuff. They got a bunch of other books too. I think there's some on one on sharks. There's some on like lichens. I think there's one on bees coming out soon. I think one on spiders maybe. So they got a whole bunch of them. Really enjoy it. They're kind of technical, but still readable, if that makes sense. I guess they're technical in the sense that they use a lot of like the I guess scientific, a lot of like the taxonomic names and stuff, which sometimes when you're dealing, especially with like the beetle one, when you're dealing with like all the different like genuses and family names and things like that, it kind of gets a little overwhelming a little bit, and a lot of the kind of the scientific terms for like the body parts and stuff. But overall, still like really readable and just a lot of fun. I've felt like I've learned a lot from the little bit that I say. What, 3/4 of the beetle one and like the first chapter or two on this octopus one. So yeah, I definitely need to get like that whole series because that'll be really cool. And then for some other gifts, I got a bunch of Lord of the Rings titles to add to my Tolkien shelf that I've been slowly accumulating. So I got the Silmarillion here from one of my friends, and this was like one of the new illustrated editions with the really cool writing on the pages there. And I want to say my mom got me. Let's see, the Lord of the Rings 1 volume edition that kind of like matches with like really good writing and stuff. So that's really cool as well. And another family member gave me another 1 volume edition of the Lord of the Rings and stuff. This one's got to set these ones down without dropping them. Get all my nice books and just throw them on the floor, you know. This one has like a really cool cover and whatnot as well. So yeah, like I said, I'm just kind of collecting like nicer editions of like Tolkien stuff. He's one of the only or I was to say non-fiction, one of the only fiction kinds of things that I read besides Warhammer. Actually, yeah, between Warhammer and Tolkien, that's the extent of my fiction reading. So, like I said, just trying to build up like a Tolkien sort of thing. You know, made this thingy. I guess I'm not even sure what to call that one, but really like that kind of stuff. So, anyways, that's that. So next up, we do have one book that I was sent from a publisher here, and it's Barron's: Money, Power, and the Corruption of America's Food Industry. This is by Austin Freerick, and the publisher is Island Press, who's pretty well known for being kind of like an environmental kind of press, all about like kind of ecology, green spaces, that sort of thing. And to be honest, I'm not sure why I accepted this because I know for a fact I'm gonna start it and I'm just gonna get like mad as I read it and like probably more mad and more infuriated as I like go on. The gist of this book, from what I can tell, is basically highlighting a bunch of different food conglomerates around. I don't know if it's just the United States. Well, I guess it is America's food industry, but a bunch of food conglomerates that kind of monopolize different things. I think there's one on like pork, some on corn, like grocery stores, things like that. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of inhumane stuff kind of going on. There's going to be a lot of probably like workers' rights violations going on. But basically, you know, a bunch of companies that are kind of definitely putting like, you know, profits before everything else. but also how that kind of like leads to, I guess, like almost in a way like less varieties of food and kind of just more just the same old, just kind of terrible like processed stuff that we're all kind of used to. But like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I'm sure there's a lot of like corruption with lobbying politicians, like inaccurate scientific studies and pretty much bribing people and all the kind of underhanded backhand stuff. So like I said, like it's really important information. I think it's good to know. But I know for a fact I'm just gonna get like angry reading it. But sometimes that's a good thing though, in a way. So I'm like looking forward to it. Like when I'm like having like a bad work day or something, I'm gonna come and read it and just get like more angry and just be like, I don't know. That might not be the wisest thing, but anyways, thank you to the author and the Island Press for sending me those. Or that one. I don't know why I said those, because I'm looking at these ones. So here we come up with all my, let's see, Princeton University Press sale titles. And unfortunately, I know in the Discord when I was talking with everyone at Historathon, a lot of people are buying history books and stuff, and I ended up buying, I think, 10. And, not a single one was history related. But anyways, like I said, I kind of went over why I get a lot of nature books there. First up, I bought a bunch of these Pedia books. I've read one of them, which is Insectpedia. I think they have a whole bunch of them, too. I think there's Sharkpedia coming out. There's, like, Lycanpedia, Insectpedia, Fungipedia, all kinds of stuff. And I kind of like them. They're just, like, little... I don't even know what I would describe them as. They're all written by different authors. And they're not, like, encyclopedias in, like, the strict sense. But the authors, I think, just kind of choose different terms and words that they want to elaborate on. But they kind of it's just all a bunch of like lore and tidbits and stuff. And it is like alphabetical, like an encyclopedia or dictionary or whatever. But, they're not comprehensive. We got floral idioms, frost flowers, Emile Gale, goss plant, Hostorium. And it kind of just goes in the lore, and just like, I don't know, Jeopardy type stuff. I find this stuff like really interesting, and they're not very long. I think they're only like 150. Well, because they're all different like sizes. This is actually one of the smaller ones, and it's like 200 pages. But I think when I get all of them, it'll look like just a really cool kind of collection. They got nice little felt covers too. So, like I said, the one I have read so far, Insectpedia, I really enjoyed. So, looking forward. I'll probably do Treepedia first, but let me know which one I should do first down below. So next up, we got 2 different field guides here. We got A Swift Guide to Butterflies of North America by Jeffrey Glassberg. I have a whole shelf over there, which I will get to someday. And I have quite a few field guides, but I want to say the only butterfly one I have is the National Audubon Society one, which have like those like leather covers and stuff. And I'm just, too lazy apparently to like trip over everything and like go get it. But anyways, I wanted to add this one to the collection just because I would like more. It's a photograph one. I do generally prefer field guides that have illustrations, but like I said, you gotta kind of take what you can get sometimes. But I'll have to do maybe like once the snow finally melts in the next couple of weeks here. Maybe like I'll do some videos where I like go out and find animals and talk about the field guides and how to use them, stuff like that. Let me know if that sounds interesting, or if you would have any, wish to watch a video like that on like using field guides or things like that. And for the other field guide, we got Common Bees of Eastern North America. And this is kind of the same thing, just a little bit more in depth per se, probably because, there's not going to be as many species of bee in just the Eastern United States as, all the Lepidoptera essentially, in North America. But like I said, bees are actually really cool. I've read a bunch of books on bees. I probably should do a video just on the bee books. I think I got 2 more too coming in. But anyways, like I said, 2 more field guides to add to my collection. Bees are really cool. A lot of people, when they think of bees, they just think of just honeybees. And, there's just tons and tons of native bees out there as well, though a lot of them are in pretty rough shape from pretty much everything that I've been reading. If you have been following the video so far, thank you so much. If you do want to support the channel, besides just, liking and commenting, subscribing, all that kind of stuff, definitely check out, my Etsy shop here. Leave links down below, or even just the Facebook shop page that I opened up recently. even just liking and favoriting things like that helped me a ton in the algorithm and like Etsy and all that kind of stuff. And I have noticed like kind of an increase in things as I started videos back up again. So I definitely appreciate that, everyone who has been doing that for sure. So thank you so much, and let's just keep going. Next, next up, there was a little bit of discord in the Discord forum when I brought up wasps, just because not everyone's a huge fan of wasp here. But we got Wasp by Eric Eaton, The Astonishing Diversity of a Misunderstood Insect. So I saw this one. Actually, I first heard about it on Margaret Roach's A Way to Garden podcast like a year or two ago. And it's just really cool. It looks just like it's got a bunch of like species profiles as well. But it does just have like a lot of like cool photographs and information on different things. Like this is like the behavior chapter on wasps and stuff. Wasps, if you learn about them, are like pretty interesting in the sense of how crazy. I know yellow jackets and the vespids kind of give them a really, really bad reputation, somewhat deservedly so per se. But a lot of wasps actually are the majority of them, the vast majority of them are solitary wasps. And it's just their whole life cycle is pretty interesting. They can, some of them, like, the emerald wasp can, like, make cockroaches like zombies and things like that. So definitely something to look into. And especially even for people like that have gardens like me and stuff, a lot of wasps parasitize a lot of the bad pests, the bad insects and stuff, So you actually kind of want them around to kind of keep for like kind of a biological control for, pests and stuff. So that's interesting. This one I didn't know anything about, but I just saw it and I was like, well, I might as well pick it up while I'm getting everything else. We got What Insects Do and Why by Ross Piper. I'm not sure. Like I said, this one was like one of my, on a whim ones per se. And it looks like it's all about insect entomology behaviors and stuff. Like different feeding styles. We had vegetarians, we got carnivores, and probably insectivores, hiding in disguises. It did look really interesting. So that's why parasitoids and parasites up there as well. So for those who don't know the difference between a parasite and parasitoid, I think parasites generally don't kill the host. They kind of just annoy them or use them. Whereas a parasitoid generally has to, uses the host and kills them as like kind of like the end game there, if I remember correctly. Anyways, we got 2 bee books coming up. We got The Bee, A Natural History. This one's by Noah Wilson O'Rich. I have another one in this series. I feel like Princeton University Press has a lot of like series here. This is like the 3rd one here. I think I have the one on dogs, but they got some on like, I think the first one I ever saw was like goats or something. And what it does is it's kind of just like a history of, usually they start with kind of like the history of like the fossil record and that kind of, I guess, yeah, just like evolutionary record of like kind of the species like evolving that they're kind of like concerned about. But then we got a lot of the biology stuff, and then I think the last section is usually like kind of the relationship with humans. So this one is definitely, these ones do seem to have a lot more charts and whatnot, but like I said, just, I don't know, another more, I guess, more technical book on bees. But I've read a lot of like just kind of general science nonfiction books on bees as well, including Buzz by Thor Hansen, which was actually, I think, only like last month, I want to say. Next up, we got Pollination, The Enduring Relationship Between Plant and Pollinator by Timothy Walker. This one I hadn't heard about either, but when I saw it on the sale, I was like, I might as well look into it. Like I said, I do a lot of gardening and that sort of thing, so it's kind of, I'm always interested in like, I guess like pollination of like, my tomatoes and pepper plants and stuff, where I found out only, or not, I don't think it's only, but generally like my tomato plants, only bumblebees really do or I guess bumblebees do the vast majority of the pollination there, just because of the style of how to get the pollen out and everything. So I find that super interesting. In this book in particular, I'm actually looking forward to reading about all the pollinators and how they work that aren't honeybees. Like the bumblebees, bats do a lot, moths and beetles do some, things like that. So I'm kind of interested in learning about that kind of aspect. And that's up. Lastly, we got Crabs, A Global Natural History by Peter Davey. And this one I hadn't didn't go into it particularly like looking for it or anything. But I do live in Maine, and I go to the coast quite a bit when I can. And we have a few crabs. I think we got the Jonas crab, rock crab, green crab, all that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of interesting. I've never really read much about crabs. So like I said, they don't have a single one on crabs per se, but We got lots of really cool photographs, a lot of like species profiles as well as like kind of like general history as well. So looking forward to that one. Plus that way, if I read it, we'll know a little bit more when I find them in the wild again. So there you have it. Those are, I guess, all the books that I picked up since October of last year. So not doing too bad as far as, just accumulating tons of stuff. But let me know what you think of any of these books, if you're interested in any of them, or which one was your favorite, and give me your favorite book that you picked up, I guess, in the last, like, since, I don't know, October of last year. Always on the lookout for good recommendations and things like that. But no matter what you end up reading in the near future, always remember, read victoriously.